What's up, fellow air gunners? Let's talk about the AEA 22 cal Element. This is like the lightest air gun I think I've ever picked up, and it's like a full-size air gun. I mean, it breaks down, it has some serious breakdown capabilities. You can fold it up, you can remove the stock and put on a different stock. You can do all kinds of things with this, but really the strength of this rifle is like a truck gun, a backpacking gun, hiking, survivalist type situation. But there's some compromises when you do that, and that's with every rifle and kind of this form factor or weight factor. So as I mentioned, it's 2.8 pounds. There's a few other guns that kind of competed in this area. One is the Airgun Leshy Classic. There's the Airgun Leshy 2, which is way more expensive. And then you have the Air Force Talon P. Those are just a few. The Talon P is 3.5 pounds. I think the Airgun Leshy is probably around 2 to 3 pounds. So yeah, comparable. Shot counts are somewhat comparable, what we'll get into. And that, yeah, so the gun comes with two mags that are kind of nice mags. They're 10 shots each. They have I guess a fill port cover. We'll talk about that. And then an end cap. Now the end cap, I've got a thread. Boop. I got a thread here for a modifier, sound modifier, that I had to buy from Donnie FL. This is what normally comes with it. You're going to want that, believe me, because this gun is loud, very loud, because of the power and the size, shape, and everything. So we mentioned the weight. What else we got? The trigger, probably about 4 or 5 pounds. Not really sure, just want to put it into perspective. Nowhere near what you find on FX Impact or the FX guns or the Day State. Those are super light triggers. Obviously they can be modified. This is a one stager, something around the Condor or Marauder, roughly that feel. So I think you guys can get a rough indication. But overall, it's a very nice trigger. I actually preferred over the Condor and the Marauder. So yeah, it's just a one snap, but it's crisp, it's very dependable, and that. One thing about these small rifles is the recoil. Now the Airgun Leshy original had a massive kind of muzzle flip because it was so powerful, it would kick up. And I found myself kind of missing the target high because it would just kind of travel up the gun, and then boom, it would just kind of go off course. The Talon P, Air Force Condor or Air Force Talon P, is the same way. These really light guns kind of put you at a slight disadvantage until you adapt your shooting style to them. You kind of anticipate, you kind of bolt it down, and you get more mass to your body to kind of tighten up the groups. You know, the recoil's there, the muzzle flip, it's 40 foot-pounds of energy, and that's what's giving it the muzzle, kind of the muzzle flip in that. And yeah, it's a lot of power. You know, shooting JSB Hades, which are like 15, 16 grain, those are over 1,000 feet. Probably breaking the sound barrier at some point. It depends on where you got it loaded up, but 38 to 42 foot-pounds. I've shot FX slugs, Day State 18.2s. They all seem to work fairly well, but the Hades kind of came ahead as far as the group and the size. Looking at that, this is an unregulated gun, so you get about 15 to 20 shots at 25 yards. If you're going to stretch it out to 50 yards, you probably want to keep it to 15 shots and below. But it's actually pretty efficient for the amount of force and foot-pounds of energy that you're actually delivering with this rifle. Fill pressures to 250 bar. Ergonomics, this gun is actually really, really nice. I have to be careful because of the mic here, guys, but it really does just load up and feel like a regular rifle, where a lot of the smaller, lighter guns, there's always some compromise with the ergonomics and it doesn't feel right, but this does feel right as far as how it shoulders and how you can move it around. So how is the accuracy? Accuracy-wise, at 25 yards, you're able to get, dime-sized groups, nickel, and quarter, depending on what you're shooting, and that's out of a stock gun. This barrel has not been cleaned, it has not been seasoned, it hasn't had what I like to say, 500 rounds down it, or 1,000, and really working it in and cleaning it. I think it's gonna tighten up a lot. That, along with my shooting mechanics of using this rifle, it floats around a lot. So I kind of wanted to put a sandbag on top of the barrel to stop it from floating around to get a little bit better accuracy. So if you have this rifle and you're a little bit upset by the accuracy, give it time. I think it's not like shooting a traditional field target rifle where everything just locks in and you're good to go. And it's not meant really to be. Now there's guys shooting this 100 yards, but I would suggest, you know, birds, rabbits, the bigger stuff, squirrels at maybe 50 yards. And then the heavier animals, medium-sized game, probably 25 yards. Because you just want, especially if you're doing it offhand, yeah, you just want to be comfortable with what you're shooting. And I don't think it's the accuracy of the guns reflected. It's more along the lines, if you can shoot this light of gun that's accurate. So some of the things I dislike, is how loud the gun is. It is amazingly loud. So you're going to have to kind of notice that. Put a stripper on there, moderator. As I mentioned, the muzzle jumps, so that's a little bit, I mean, that's just par for the course for a light gun. That's kind of the things I dislike a little bit. It has a little bit stiff cocking. Now, everything on this is a little bit stiff, like the safeties, there's a decocking mechanism, there is the regular cocking mechanism. Everything feels just a little stiff. Now, I didn't oil anything, I didn't do anything like that. I just kept it as is right out of the box. And I think that will eventually work out, but it just feels a little bit less refined than some of the other air guns I've had. Fill probe. So the fill probe is another thing I kind of dislike. I dislike looking down the barrel on some of these. I love those side-mounted little things without a probe where you just kind of mount it on the side like the Air Force Condors or the FX Maverick, where it's just right on the side. You can just punch in your hose, fill it up, and move on with the dial on that. But there was one issue I had with the fill cap. This is a magnetic fill cap, and it just locks on crazy hard, and it's difficult to get off. I'm not sure why. Yeah, so I was going to put some oil or some lube sealer lubricant on this to make it, but this gun is already sold, so I'm not going to mess with it. I think I'll notify the other guy, like, hey, be careful, because once you get it on, it's going to be difficult to get off. But that's about it. You know, the durability is probably the last one that I'm a little not so crazy about. Now, this is carbon fiber, and we know what happens with fiberglass and carbon fiber. It's good, it's lightweight, it lasts pretty well until you hit it with something very hard, like a rock. Like you have a fiberglass bass boat, you hit it, it just ends up cracking apart and really getting damaged. And so that is the question, along with some of the parts. That's going to be hard to know until we get, 5 years down the line with these rifles, to where we start seeing if parts are breaking, if seals are going out prematurely. But the adjustable and the adaptability right now, from what I see on the third-party market for this, there seems to be a healthy response in getting moderators and getting regulators, because it's an unregulated gun. That seems to be in place to where the sky's the limit how you want to make this. To me, this rifle as is as good as it gets for what you probably want to try to do and take advantage of it. So a little red dot, a little 6-power scope, good to go. Anything heavy is going to fall over. Anything bigger tanks or anything, it's just going to lose the advantages for this rifle. Obviously, the advantages, I think the accuracy is really good for what it is. It shoulders well, ergonomics-wise. Shot count is good, 18 to 20 powerful shots. The fact that you can get a medium-sized game out of something this small is awesome. 0 to 50-yard rifle, super lightweight, and yeah, it's been sold. I am going a different route. If I was not going this route, I have some things in the background. I have too many rifles, but if I was just looking for a nice squirrel popper, bird popper, something in a close shots, traveling around backpacking, this would probably be it. This would be the gun. So that wraps it up. Comments, questions below, and I'll see you later.